For my presentation, I did the book In the Skin of a Lion by Michael Onadaatje, who's a Canadian Sri Lankan writer. He was born September 12th, 1943 in Sri Lanka, and he's best known for his book The English Patient and In the Skin of a Lion. Historical events are tied into the story since it's set during the 1920s and 30s in the building of Toronto. We can all relate to it because we all know where Bloor Street is, and at the beginning it talks about the building of the Bloor Street Viaduct. In the Skin of a Lion is written in 3 sections that are called books, and each book has its own sub-chapters. The first one has 3, the second one has 2, and the last one has 1. The entire story is written in the third person, recounting the life of Patrick Lewis, the main character, and the story jumps back and forth between present and past events. In the first book, the first subchapter is called Little Seeds, and this is telling Patrick's childhood and how he grew up on a farm and how his father is the one that takes care of him, and he is a dynamiter, and Patrick likes to watch him and learn from what he does for work. This foreshadows the later on events in the book. The second subchapter is The Bridge, and this chapter is about the building of the Bloor Street Viaduct, which we can all relate to because that's in Toronto and we all know where that is. And also during this chapter, 3 nuns go walking on the bridge at night and one falls off the bridge, and you find out later on that that is Alice Gull, who is one of the main characters. The third subchapter is called The Searcher, in which Patrick is out of a job and becomes a searcher for a vanished millionaire, Ambrose Small. He finds his lover, Clara Dickens, instead, and he falls in love with her. Clara introduces him to Alice Gull, her best friend. Later, when Clara leaves Patrick for Small, Alice shows up and helps him through the rough times. They end up becoming lovers, and Patrick is introduced to her 9-year-old daughter, Hannah. When he finds Clara and Small in his hometown, he knocks on the door and Small doesn't know who he is or why he's there. When he discovers that he doesn't want Small, Small says he'll go get Clara. The second book has 2 subchapters. The first one is called Palace of Purification, which is referring to the water filtration plant that has just been built by Mr. Harris. This is in 1930, and Patrick is invited to a political discussion where he re-encounters Alice. They become lovers, and he meets his daughter Hannah once again. In the second subchapter, it's called Remorse, and Patrick finds out that Alice has died because of Mr. Harris's actions, and then in anger he sets a hotel on fire and goes to jail because of arson. In the third book, the first subchapter is called Caravaggio. This tells the life of a thief, Caravaggio, who Patrick met in jail. The second subchapter is called Maritime Theatre, and it's set 4 years later after Patrick is released from prison. He takes responsibility for Hannah, and Clara calls him to tell him that Small is dead and she needs to be picked up. After this, it jumps back. Patrick and Caravaggio go to a party at the yacht club in which they steal a yacht from a couple they chloroform. Patrick swims up the intake pipe to the water filtration plant and threatens to blow it up because of Mr. Harris's actions. Mr. Harris has no idea what he's talking about. When he informs him of Alice Gull, he realizes what has happened. Alice was blown up because of a miscommunication. Patrick's bombs are defused, from which he set in the filtration plant, and Patrick is let go without jail time. He goes to pick up Clara with Hannah and asks Hannah if she wants to drive. The book relies on foreshadowing and subplots to convey the life truth that an individual's true nature is exposed when they are confronted by psychological, physical, and emotional challenges. Onadaatje also uses personification to bring to life his writing style. For example, Patrick sat on a bench and watched the tides of movement, felt the reverberations of trade. He spoke out his name and it struggled up in a hollow echo and was lost in the high air of Union Station. No one turned. They were in the belly of a whale. This makes the reader picture a large empty building in which he's referring to as the Union Station. Onadaatje describes everything in great detail, such as when Ambrose sets Patrick on fire. He describes the exact dripping from the eavesdrop and how Patrick realizes that it hadn't been raining that night, and then when he sets on fire. This helps the reader picture it perfectly as if it's a movie playing in front of you. Simile is used to distinguish the difference between Patrick and Alice. For example, no, they won't be involved, just you. You're like a mongrel, like me. Not like my daughter here, but like me. Imagery is used to help the audience picture that they're there in the actual story. For example, when Patrick's swimming up the intake pipe, Onadachi describes every feeling, sound, and breath that Patrick is taking. This helps you feel like you're actually living it with him, but you're not in danger and he is. The tone and mood is sad because every time something good happens to Patrick, something bad happens shortly after. For example, he meets Alice and becomes lover with her and meets her daughter Hannah, but then Alice is killed. The situation is Patrick struggles throughout his lifetime, and each book has one of his loves. So in the first book, his love is Clara, and in the second book, it's Alice, and in the third book, it's Alice's daughter Hannah. The theme of the story is love and adventure. Onadachi illustrates these themes through Patrick and his love for Clara, Alice, and Hannah. The audience is anyone who knows anything about Toronto or has been there because they can connect to it, because that is where the story is set, and anyone that's interested in an action-packed love story. The purpose of the book is to tell a love story from the 1920s and 30s and show the struggle the immigrants had during that period. In the Skin of the Lion was very successful, seeing as it won the Canada Reads Award from CBC in 2002. And in my opinion, it told a very good love story and had adventure involved so that everyone could enjoy it.